welcome back to another Well Below Average podcast episode with Nick Neppach. How are you doing today, Nick?
I'm good. What is it? Daylight savings yesterday, today, whatever we want to call it. So I have some feelings about that, but other than that, feeling pretty good.
Government robbing us of an hour. It wouldn't happen under Trump. It's all Biden's fault.
They give it back, though. They give it back. It's a fronting thing.
And that is Roy White with us. Roy, how are you doing today? How are the kids?
I'm doing okay. I made it to Sunday, which seems to be the only relaxing day of my week the last 2 weeks. So very much looking forward to having a full weekend next weekend. And it will be my daughter's birthday, her third birthday. So we are hiring an Elsa impersonator.
Okay.
Who we are told will come to the house and entertain the kids for like 2 hours. This includes songs, at least one activity, and the way my wife and I understand it, they basically kind of take care of everything. So
okay,
I'm going to report back and see whether or not that claim is true. But we'll have a lot of kids over here on Saturday of next week.
Does your daughter know? Obviously, she knows it's her birthday, probably a party. Does she know that this is a part of the party, or is it a surprise?
Oh, yeah. She knows.
Okay.
And she has been talking about Elsa joining the party for over a month and a half now. In fact, it's been the go-to threat at any time we need to settle her down, right? Oh, you want a cookie? You're crying? Okay, we're going to uninvite Elsa. She pops right back up. So it's been a useful manipulation tool in that regard as a parent.
Now, I remember this as a kid, like the siblings of or like even the close friends, like when you're a young kid and it's somebody else's birthday, like you want a gift also. Is that like, because your kids are obviously fairly close in age, Roy, like Adam, you have two younger like kids, your younger kids are closer in age. Is that a thing that you have to fight? Like Roy, your son, he's like, okay, it's her birthday. Like, do I get
Absolutely.
a present too?
100%.
Okay. So it's
Yeah.
still a thing. That wasn't just me.
No, he, in fact, he not only for her birthday, he did it for my father-in-law's birthday. He found out it was my father-in-law's birthday. My wife was at Target with him and my daughter, and he said, "You can't have a birthday party without a present." And of course, the gift that he got him, right, was a dyno race car, which he graciously offered my father-in-law that we would keep here at our house so that he could play with it whenever he came over. So it's well thought out, right? It hasn't gone anywhere, I guess, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, my kids were like that. They're older, 9 and 10, so it's not as big a deal anymore. But yeah, when they were 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah, it was. Got to make sure the other one gets a gift.
At what age do they stop caring?
Or do you have to lay the hammer and be like, okay, look, you are, I don't know, 8 years old. Like it stops. This is not how it works. I mean, I've got a ways to go, and right now we just have one. But all my wife's girlfriends, their kids are around the same age, so surely we'll deal with it, even if we have just one kid. So I got to start planning for these things. I got to, probably have to build a savings account just for the gifts that we'll have to get.
So yeah, it's about that 6, 7, 8. It went away, but I'll tell you, I bought my daughter a piano. She said, I want to learn piano. I want to take piano lessons. I just went to a pawn shop, bought a little keyboard, and yeah, my son wasn't happy about that. So, it's still there. It lingers. And before you say anything, I did spend hundreds of dollars on him for soccer camp. So there was equity there, just
right.
Not in the exact moment. So yeah, I don't think it ever goes away. It's just maybe they're not as vocal about it as they get older.
All right. Roy, I'm excited to hear what Elsa is like, especially if they're doing. I mean, if she is taking over the party, so to speak, then it better be. I mean, it's probably going to be good.
I'll give you a full report. I mean, we were offered Anna as well, but Anna comes with like another $350 or whatever it was. So we decided Elsa ought to be good enough and she'll be satisfied enough with Elsa, I think.
I would hope so. It sounds like a good party, though. That should be fun. We're going to do the play-by-play for that. Well, welcome to the show. We're going to have a sports-heavy show. It's a big sports week, especially here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, where we are all based out of. So Roy is wearing a Rangers shirt. We'll talk a little bit about baseball coming back, some Cowboys stuff. Jerry had a fun baby. Got a Cobra Kai season 4 finale to get into. But let's talk about our sponsors real quick, and I'll try to get it in focus.
There you go. Oh, you had your head in the right spot. There it is. That's the spot.
There you go.
Yeah,
Local Menace is a Dallas-based streetwear brand. They do they're artist-owned. They do hats, t-shirts, all kinds of cool stuff, buttons, pendants. Their hoodies are really cool. Localmenace.com. Check them out. They do. This is one of my favorite pieces they do. They got a switchblade banana, which is real cool. Just really like modern-looking designs and stuff. So if you're looking to spice up your wardrobe, get some cool new merch, and support a local company, check out localmenace.com and use code BEARDCREW and get 25% off your order, and that lets them know we sent you to order from them. So check them out at localmenace.com.
Also, Rodeo Coffee. It was in focus for a split second. Right there. Rodeo Coffee, right here in Fort Worth. Small batch roasted. They are right over in the Walsh neighborhood, which is like near Aledo, West Fort Worth. Thursday through Sunday, 7 a.m. to 11:30. They have a coffee truck. You can also get breakfast tacos from them and various bags of coffee as well. Adam, I'm not sure if there are as many pop-ups anymore. That's where we ran into them. There's a bunch of pop-up shops around DFW. But check them out on Instagram. They'll put up where they're going to be, and you can get some delicious coffee from them.
What's your favorite roast?
I always mix up the one that we like with the other one that I've had, Adam.
Colombian is my favorite.
Yeah, Colombian is their main roast that's really, really good. They had a new one this weekend, a limited supply. Oh, what was it? I can't remember what it was. They will roast specific, like they roasted a specific batch and had it out this weekend, limited supply. So they'll do that kind of thing as well out of the coffee truck. But the Colombian is really, really good.
Yes, great coffee, great Dallas-Fort Worth coffee. Always good to add things to the area, to the ambiance. But we lost something in the Dallas-Fort Worth area this week. I don't know if we want to call it a pillar of the sports broadcasting community, but ESPN Radio is now non-existent. It's a Christian station, and I know a lot of people grew up on that. Ben and Skin, friends of the show, were on there, and just want to get your thoughts on that, Nick. I know you have some stuff on Twitter.
Yeah, so that was the station that I listened to, like that inundated me into sports radio. Wasn't where I lived. We couldn't pick up the ticket, which was on AM. It was the early days of the Fan. Hadn't really heard of the Fan, and all I knew for sports was ESPN. And so I was like, oh, I can drive. I'm going to start listening to the radio. And found Ben and Skin. Randy Galloway, of course, was on it. So I listened all the time. Then I went to college, and actually, I talked to Ben about this. We ended up being able to work together for a short time. So I talked to Ben about this. But in my college geology class, it was one of those big theaters, 200 people in there. It was during the Rangers World Series run, and I would just listen to their show while I was in that class. So, during the 2010 World Series run, it was one of my good college memories. I think I did pretty well in that class, actually, but it was a joke. But yeah, loved this station. I was a big Galloway fan. Actually got to talk to him a couple of times when I was in the media world for a little bit, so that was really, really cool. But yeah, just being a radio media fan, a little bit of, and they had switched away from local programming a while ago, and so it's been different, and it's been, struggling to stay alive for a while, but a little bit of a sad day for me. It was a trip down memory lane for me, really.
Roy, were you a big ESPN Radio guy?
I was at least, having been in the business, looked at that as a viable option in the Metroplex for listening to sports specifically. And also, if you kind of wanted like a broader view, as Nick said at the time, I mean, it was kind of the ticket, which is hyper local, and we really enjoy, right? Had Dan McDowell on. Love the fact that what they've been doing here in Dallas. And the fan at the time was not really, it wasn't what it is today, right? It wasn't established. It wasn't necessarily the radio home of the Dallas Cowboys, I don't think, at the very beginning of it. So, it had some credibility issues. And to know that, I didn't even know that ESPN went out this week. I had no idea. Although, as Nick said, they changed their programming so long ago away from local that it felt like it's been gone for a while. It hadn't really been in my Rolodex all that much. But yeah, man, that's a little bit surprising that they just weren't able to get any type of foothold in the number 5 market in the United States, and really a market that, over the past 2 years has ballooned in terms of people moving to the state of Texas. I think it was the fastest growing metroplex in the entire country over the last year and a half was Dallas-Fort Worth.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think of like other major markets, and this is just the radio nerd in me. I don't think, like New York is like LA, Chicago, like Houston, the other big markets. I think they just have 2 stations, like 2 sports stations. And I don't think ESPN, and correct me, I guess they do. They don't have many like local affiliates anymore, like where it's an ESPN station. Is that tracking right? I know there's some
I think they just have divested a lot of their interest in it, because they always, even when they were still here, they were farming out the management of it to other companies. Yeah. And not to get too into the minutia of the business, but they never really took themselves seriously so much as they just wanted to have a plug in every market. And that was never going to work long term as an option. And when Galloway left, that was kind of the end, in my opinion, of what ESPN was. Because at least with Randy Galloway there, they had a long time established Dallas-Fort Worth, representative. Sorry, I kind of cut out there just as odd finish to my statement, but yeah, that was it.
Yeah, but
abrupt.
But yeah, you kind of froze for a second. I was like, "Are you going to keep going? What are we?"
Oh, sorry. I guess I didn't. I don't know if I actually froze or if I maybe did just kind of sit there and.
No, I think it was the video, because it was like a mouth kind of open thing. You know how it works with Zoom. Yep. But yeah,
I was looking to see what other markets had ESPN, and you stopped, and I thought, oh no, is he asking me a question? No, let me get back.
No, I didn't. Do they have a foothold in LA, New York, Chicago, Boston?
I can't find anything. You just look up ESPN Radio. It goes to kind of like I don't have like 4 or 5 shows listed and podcasts. I didn't see any markets listed.
And it's funny because remember, this was, and I think it goes back to ESPN's business model. Remember when they tried to do like ESPN.com, and then they tried to spin off to like 5 different ESPNs, and they were all the big markets: ESPN LA,
like ESPN Dallas,
ESPN Dallas, ESPN Chicago, ESPN Boston, and all of them failed. ESPN New York. All of them failed. Because they stretch themselves too thin, quite honestly.
Yeah. Well, and you're competing with stuff like the ticket. It's I know the ticket's not for everybody, and the fan. You had the ticket established, you had the fan ascending, and it was really where was their base going to come from? Because I feel like the fan is a little more sports centric, while tickets.
Once the fan established itself as the sports centric entity. And the ticket was still kind of doing their own, inside jokey, if you will, entity. I think that squeezed ESPN out of the market completely. There was nothing left for them to provide.
And ESPN nationally, like Cowherd, he was a big deal there. I think people were drawn to him when he was still hosting there every single day. I couldn't tell you who does their afternoon slot now, or the morning for that matter. And now, granted, I'm at work and I'm not listening to the radio, but I know where Colin Cowherd is now and all that stuff. And I just feel like, I don't know, there's so much that we can get information from. Back like when we were growing up, ESPN was the only place you got sports stuff. And now we have a choice. You can get it from anywhere. And so I think, that's a big part of it too. But I guess I've got a place to listen to church services now on the FM, and that being 103.3.
Not a terrible thing. I want to run through a quick couple of news stories that I think are of interest here. I'm just going to power through because we've got to get to Cobra Kai. That is what we're here for. It's the lifeblood of this show.
And that's why we got a special guest.
We do. Have you heard about this? I want to ask you that. Have you heard about the assistant principal that was fired, who was taken over for his second grade class, was waiting for the principal to come in to run the class, grabbed a book off the shelf that he had used for years called I Need a New Butt. He was fired for reading this book.
Wow. I've not heard of this.
No, but that's terrifying because my wife's an assistant principal, and that sounds... He had to have done something more. Had to have.
Literally, from everything I've heard, even the article, it was it's a very, very knee-jerk reaction. I Need a New Butt. It's a children's book. It's in schools all over the country. It's not offensive. It's a jokey. It uses words like fart and butt, and just it's a they describe it as a silly book. But then
was this in Texas?
This was not in Texas. This was in the suburb, Jackson, Mississippi, I believe. Yeah, Jackson.
Wow.
But
doesn't sound like critical race theory if I'm familiar with it, but
it's
I am distracted here. We have somewhat breaking news, and I know we'll get to sports, and I don't know if this is real, but I just got a notification about it, so we can break it down. Apparently, via Twitter, Tom Brady is coming back for his 23rd season to Tampa Bay. I don't know if that's real, but I just got my buddy texted me from Twitter, and I don't know if we should believe it, but I just saw it, and so I was very distracted during that whole.
Well, if that's real, it will be on Twitter in about 5 minutes.
I'm looking. I mean, let's I'll pull it up.
It was like from Tom Brady, like his Tom Brady's post is what it looked like. I only looked at it briefly.
Yep, there you go. His post. These past 2 months, I've realized my place is still on the field and not in the stands. That time will come, but it's not now. I love my teammates and I love my supportive family. They make it all possible. I'm coming back for my 23rd season in Tampa. Unfinished business, LFG.
Wow.
What unfinished business does he have?
Well, he did lose in the playoffs.
Yeah. How much do you think like he's looking? He's like, the NFC looks pretty weak. Like we're pretty good. We're set. If I come back, we can make a run at this.
It's got to be part
How
of it,
long
right?
did he stay retired? Did we make it 3 weeks?
I think officially retired. It was like a month and a half, maybe.
Yeah. I don't know. It just depends. Like, do you count the 3 days when it was leaked or whatever?
Right. I'll be honest. I'm pretty surprised. I thought he would come back like at the end of the season. Going out that way. But once he retired, I didn't think Brady would pull the Brett Favre. Now, I guess he never had a press conference, but either way.
I'm not surprised. I told a friend of mine, and he mocked me for saying, when Brady retired, when I said, this guy might play for 3 or 4 more years earlier this season. I still believe that. I still think he's going to play probably another 2 years after this.
So he'll be 40. He's 45, right?
He said he wanted to play till he was 45. He said he wanted to play till he was 50. Now, I don't think he's going to be able to play till he's 50, but yeah, he'll be 45 this next season. And he was just the best quarterback in the NFL at that age.
Yeah,
like statistically, advanced statistically wise, and that's probably not the right way to say it, but advanced stats say he was the best quarterback in the league. DVOA, Pro Football Focus grades, whatever you want to use, he was the best. And he had an incredible year.
Yeah, I thought he should have been the MVP.
We've had a piece of breaking news every day this week in the NFL since Monday. In fact, I was just thinking earlier, I was like, nothing's happened today. It's like, something's gonna happen, and here we go. God, sorry to break up the news story, but I figured I had to. I had nothing. I didn't know what y'all were saying because I was too distracted.
This guy got sick of his family after like 4 weeks. He stayed with his family. He spent some time with them. He's like, holy crap, I really don't do this that often. Like, dad life is cool when it's the stuff that the nanny doesn't have to do. You know, the nanny's already done. Like, it's all the fun stuff. But when I got to be here 24/7, yeah, I'll put a gun in my mouth. Like, he's already out. He's already out. He's like, I know the draft hasn't even happened, but look, I'm coming back. Like, guaranteed, no bones about it. I'm coming back. I can't stand this.
That is big news. Well, let's jump ahead to another quarterback story. Breaking. So, and I had actually heard earlier today that he was rumored to go to, that Tampa was looking at him. Watson will not face any criminal charges. Obviously, civil charges are a whole different thing. He's going to have to be paying off some people, but
he's going to be able to. He's an NFL quarterback.
Say again?
He's going to be able to. He's an NFL quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where do we think Watson's going? How do we feel about that decision, Roy?
He's going to Carolina, I think, which is really weird, but it's there's a lot of stuff in play there. The owner, Greg Tepper, just bought the team, wants a new stadium, wants to get it funded by the local folks. And in order to do that, he's got to drum up some significant interest around a team that already has some decent weapons. So I truly think that it's going to wind up being the Panthers that give the most to get him. And I don't blame teams for like being willing to jump at him now, but it just reeks of it just stinks to high hell. Like, and you know he's got to be suspended too, right? He's got to still be suspended. Guys have been charged with nothing and been suspended 6 games for less than what he's been alleged to have done. So, and whether those civil cases like come or go, whatever, I think he'll be suspended probably 6 to 8 games, but I think he'll get traded this offseason, and I think he'll wind up with Carolina.
Yeah, I I guess the big thing is that he has to sign off on wherever he goes. I mean, he has a full no trade clause.
Yeah.
And this, I'm a Steelers fan. We talk about that a lot on the podcast. They have been tied to him. I will put this out there. I would be shocked if he ended up in Pittsburgh, even if he wants to be there. They just have their, franchise icon retire who had his own skeletons, like dealt with a lot of things, skeletons in the closet that he worked through. He was suspended for, and people forget they tried to trade him after all of that. Like, there were deals that were close with like San Francisco. Like the Steelers, they're an NFL team. Like, they put up with it, but typically don't put up with that, kind of stuff. Or let me put it this way: they like to put up the front, but they don't put up with that kind of stuff. So I would be shocked if he ended up in Pittsburgh. The selfish fan side of me, purely football, there would be a part of me that's excited, but it would just feel kind of dirty to be happy about it. So I'm with Roy. I think Carolina is the most. They've been tied to him the most. I think it, makes the most sense, so to speak. But he's got to sign off on it. And if he really wants to play and they're the ones pushing the hardest, maybe he will. But, who else? Seattle, you'd have to think that they'd at least be interested. They've got that ninth pick, but he's surely going to be suspended. Now, Ben, back when, I guess this was I forget what season it was, 2009 maybe. He was suspended for 6 games. Would Goodell suspend him for half? I guess you can't really half the season, but would he suspend him for 8, 9 games? I mean, I wouldn't be shocked.
I don't know. Like, is there any chance they look at him sitting out all last season, calling it a de facto suspension? You don't think so?
I wouldn't think so.
Man, because he basically got, and that's where I think maybe they'll go lighter on him because he basically got suspended this whole past season. I mean, he was suspended, couldn't play. He was put on the commissioner's exempt list. Maybe for that reason they make the case and don't give him a lot. But I think 6 games is kind of minimum. I mean, you gave not trying to be a homer, but you gave Ezekiel Elliott 6 games, just for
being accused.
Just for being accused, and showing a titty, maybe.
On St. Patrick's Day parade, which just happened.
St. Patrick's Day parade, for God's sakes, Yeah. I wonder how many Dirk saw out there today. Probably a few.
Dirk could see all he wants if he really wants.
That's what I mean. He must have saw a million.
All right, yeah.
I think. I mean, we'll see what happens. My prediction is he gets traded by Wednesday. I think it's going to happen quick. So, we'll see.
Well, let's get.
You want more breaking news, real quick?
Oh, sure.
Sorry, but Michael Gallup just signed a 5-year deal
with the Cowboys.
With the Cowboys, $62 million.
I'm sure we were going to talk about Amari Cooper at some point, so this ties right into that.
Yes, but let's put a pin in that and let's do some TV talk. We do have a special guest. I'm getting queued up right now. Let me send a text here. But we're going to finish Cobra Kai Season 4, Episode 10, the finale. A lot to talk about. Our special guest is coming within the next 5 minutes. But I want to talk about, while we're waiting for him, a new show I found. One of the few comic book things that Nick is into is The Boys. Am I correct in this?
Yeah, I've watched the first 2 seasons of it. Is the new one out?
So
Not yet. The new trailer just dropped.
Well,
I need to watch that. Yeah.
But there's an animated series called Diabolical, which is a boys animated. Have you watched this yet?
I have not.
It's something else. The first episode was done like an old school like Looney Tunes. If you recall, I think it was second season when they were using that baby from Vought in the laser eyes to kill everybody. You remember that scene?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's basically that baby is like running around and one of the scientists from Vought is trying to catch him and keep him, and he's crawling up on the cranes and on the big buildings and those old school cartoons. The second episode was done by the people that Rick and Morty. So it was basically Rick and Morty boys. And the third episode was a little more traditional cartoon, but it's insane. If you like The Boys, you'll really enjoy the Diabolical.
So I'm glad you mentioned that because I read an article about the preview, and it said that the season kind of picks up where Diabolical leaves off. And I was shocked by that because I thought, what the hell is Diabolical and where can I find it? So I can go on to Amazon Prime and get that?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to have to check that out.
Yeah, animated
sounds
series.
Cool.
Very risque, and we're working out some kinks here. Joining us is Levi Isch, my son. He is here with us. Levi, how you doing today, buddy?
Good.
Good. This is Nick and Roy. Roy's the one with the Fu Manchu. Comes down there, and then Nick is the one without any facial hair.
Yeah.
What's
Levi.
up, Levi?
he's got his own setup and everything. I'm impressed. I am impressed.
Background, man. This kid's a professional.
You know what?
I got a chair in my background.
Yeah, that's my chair. That chair was given to me by my great-grandmother. That is the oldest piece of furniture in this house. So we're going to talk about the last episode of season 4 of Cobra Kai. I've been having to put my fingers in my ears for the last few weeks because this boy's been wanting to spoil it for me. He's been excited to come on, so let's get into the finale of Cobra Kai. Did you have any thoughts, Nick, you wanted to get out before we get going?
Well, I kind of want to just leave the floor to Levi here, but just to give my opening thoughts. Thought the whole All Valley I thought was really good, and the cliffhanger from episode 9 to episode 10, where Miguel pulls the muscle. We've got that. I thought was the perfect cliffhanger, and we open up to episode number 10, where we.
Okay, well, we're waiting for
I haven't seen it. If you're watching it, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Start from where you said you loved the cliffhanger with Miguel, and then you got into episode 10.
Got into episode 10, and spoiler alert, but we wrap up all of the championship matches, and I thought they did a really good job of it. I thought the fighting was good, and for the boys, or the boys, men's, whatever you want to call it, championship match, we had Hawk and Robbie, and was really happy with the result. But I was surprised. I thought they would have Robbie win that one, personally. And then in the girls' side, Sam and Tori, of course, and I thought it'd be the opposite. I thought Robbie would win, like Cobra Kai, but then Sam LaRusso would win the girls' side, and they flipped it on me. So I was really surprised by those. But overall, really enjoyed it. Thought they played it up well, built up to it well. And then we went on with the rest of the episode where there were some big moments. But anyway, that's the fighting part of all of it.
So Levi, what was your thoughts the final episode of season 4?
I thought Miyagi was gonna win, but only with Robbie and Hawk. I didn't realize Hawk would win. I like Nick. I thought he would lose too.
Yeah, I thought Hawk was an underdog in that one, but he, being able to train to use the Cobra Kai methods against Robbie was I thought that was good coaching by Danielson.
And the transformation of his character overall, I thought was really good. Like from the very first season all the way to now, I thought that's some of the best part of the show. How they worked, changed his character, kind of weaved him through all 4 seasons. Really liked that a lot.
So what do we think about Kenny? Kenny, he kind of committed mentally, it looks like, to being a Cobra Kai. You remember that scene?
Yeah.
Yeah, he beat the other guy up.
Yeah.
Daniel's son.
Yeah, and then we really saw Robbie kind of reflecting on how, what he was becoming as a Cobra Kai.
Right, and
go ahead.
No, I was agreeing and saying like he kind of snapped on Kenny, and then Kenny kind of snapped on Anthony is his name. Kind of went full circle, and Kenny, when he first showed up at the beginning of the season, I thought it would be a happy story, like, oh, he's the nerdy kid, but they flipped the original narrative, and he turned into the bully of everybody there.
So what do we think about, because we saw that with Robbie kind of snapping at Kenny, but then we saw Kreese, who I feel like I've been saying this, is maybe there's a shade of good in him, because he really, for the first time, it wasn't, go for the throat, it wasn't sweep the leg, it was, telling Tori, just fight your match, do the best you can. Much to the dismay of Silver. He did not like that at all.
Yeah, Levi, what did you think after having watched the first movie? What did you think of that?
Well, I don't really remember. I didn't been watching it.
I thought you.
Go ahead.
I thought you watched it twice. Haven't you watched the season twice?
I watched it once, and then I tried to watch it twice, but I didn't finish it because I thought we were talking about like the beginning season, so we're not talking about that. We're talking about the end.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I don't know if you remember at the fight when Kreese, the older sensei, he's telling her just fight your fight. But yeah, I thought that was interesting because I think that Tori is a soft spot for Kreese. Maybe it reminds him of his old, his wife, girlfriend who passed away or something, because he seems to be completely different when it comes to her.
And then we talked a lot about, you mentioned Kreese. We've all season have been talking about like what her shift to what he was in the original, the third movie, and then the finale he really did paid off the official, we found out, for Tori to win, which I did not expect that. I was pretty floored by that moment of the show.
Yeah.
Like the elbow to the face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because she should have been Dr. Point, right? And which would have changed the whole outcome. And I thought the biggest shocker, the very end, because I guess we figured out the whole reason Stingray was here, brought back into the season was, and again, spoilers, but Levi, what do you think about the end when Stingray said it was Kreese that beat him up, and they double-crossed him and Silver?
Well, I didn't get it until they put the flashback and they added more scenes, like when Kreese, and is paying him to say that was Kreese. Mm-hmm. And then I didn't realize the cops would show up. That's why he did it.
Yeah, so that was a big shocker because now we got Kreese in jail. So, how'd you feel about that, Nick?
No, I was surprised by that too. But that was the moment Silver he turned back into his old self completely. And I like that they did that. I was hoping that he would become the extra bad guy, and he really did. And then we got the great moment at the very, very end, the last scene, when you're thinking, okay, how are they going to continue this? Because the Miyagi-Do, Eagle Fang, they have to close, and so there's going to be a way they're going to stay open. How are they going to do it? And then we get the cameo on the last scene of the episode where it is, I don't even know his name, but he's the villain from the second movie from Okinawa, the guy. He is there with Daniel at Mr. Miyagi's, I guess, gravesite, and he asks for his help. So I thought that was really, really cool. He had been in season 3 for an episode, and they're going to bring him back to, I guess, help. He's going to be the one that opens the dojo to keep it alive, but I'm assuming. But I really, really like that a lot.
Yeah, that was not because you're going to see it was Chosen, right? Chosen, is his name?
Couldn't tell you. Don't know his name.
I don't remember. I just remember them fighting, and then when the other Kreese and I forgot his name, but they were fighting, and then he used his techniques against him, and then got him.
Yeah, because Chosen was part of, or that guy he's part of Miyagi-Do from Okinawa. Is that correct?
Well, he was Miyagi's biggest rival. He was that guy's Johnny Lawrence, so to speak, from Karate Kid 2, which is also a pretty good movie. So if you want to catch up, that's a good one to watch.
Yeah, I don't think I've showed Levi that, but so Levi, give me your thoughts. What do you think's going to happen? How do you feel about the season overall?
What I want to happen is I want them to tell me who keep forgetting all the names. Tell him who's the real dad of.
Miguel.
Yeah, Miguel.
I forgot about that.
I wanted them I thought it was Silver was his dad or something like that because Silver is the bad guy, and she did say she had to get away from him.
I mean, that would have been quite the twist. But yeah, that's an interesting thought how that's going to all play in, because that's going to be something for Johnny to have to deal with. Dad now in the picture. So what do you think of the whole season 4?
Yeah, a lot happened. I mean, Miguel's changed from Cobra Kai to Miyagi.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
Levi, who is your favorite character in the show? I have to know.
I think Daniel, just because he has his own movies. I think he was a pretty big part in the movie. No, not the movie, the show.
Good answer.
Mine's definitely Johnny Lawrence. He's my spirit animal.
Yeah. I can see that.
Yes, the scene episode 9, when maybe it was 8, when his ex-wife came and I've been trying to call you. Don't you have a phone? Yeah, it's on the wall. Very shocked.
Or in that. Was it the 10th episode where I think it's Miguel's mom? She's like, he probably took an Uber, and he says, "What's an Uber?"
Yes.
those little one-liners, those moments, hilarious.
Well, yeah, it's great season, great show. Looking forward to season 5. Did we lose Roy? Is he asleep? Oh, we did.
Levi, you're up.
He just had his eyes closed.
Maybe he froze. It looks like he fell asleep. So we'll get Roy back in here. Levi, do you have any other thoughts? Anything you want to say for our tens of listeners and watchers? No. Well, thanks, buddy. Appreciate you jumping on. And,
Levi, thanks.
Right. We'll see you in a little bit. Bye, buddy. Hit the red button at the bottom. Oh, there you go. All right. Do you want to keep going?
We're back to the old days here.
I know.
Cobra Kai superfan, Levi.
Yes, Levi Isch.
He doesn't get any of your red hair, huh?
I don't know. It's all beard. Maybe when he grows his out, it'll be. My wife is Hispanic, so he's definitely much darker skinned, darker featured than me.
Right. Right.
So maybe he'll avoid all that. And I wanted to talk. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was gonna see if we can get Roy back on. If we have any other shows we need to watch together, since we're 3 now. Any ideas? Any thoughts? I know The Boys is coming up. So that would be an obvious choice. But
we season 2 just dropped of Upload. I think I've mentioned that before. It's an Amazon Prime show as well. But it's already. We're on season 2 of that. It's honestly, the first season's really good. Second season, I don't know if it'd be even worth us talking about. It's okay. I'm trying to think of anything else that might be coming, or a second season coming back. I can't think of anything.
Yeah, it's one of those, right now it feels like a dead period in television. A lot of stuff coming up, but the Moon Knight, obviously, it's a Marvel show. A lot of excitement about that at the end of this month. But yeah, I think we'll figure something out. But let's move on. I resent Roy the link, so I don't know if he's having technical issues. But we had a debate, or actually, do we have a Nick Hates It?
Well, it's actually a question. So, while we talked about daylight savings time, I like that it is going to be light later. I do enjoy that. I hate that we change times for what really, for no reason. We don't need to do that anymore. But here's my question for you. I was going to pose this to you and Roy. So this week, Thursday night, Friday morning, I got really congested. You can still kind of hear it. I'm a little bit congested, but I was like, real congested all the time. Standing up, sitting down didn't matter. It was pretty miserable for like a day and a half. And I had this thought. If you could never, and this might be easy for you, Adam, never have any kind of headache again, or never any congestion or runny nose again, which would you pick and why?
Probably headache, because I get migraines, and it's just, I had one, and maybe it didn't quite get the migraine level, but Friday I was just done. I woke up with a headache, and it was there until I went to sleep. And I have to medicate so much that it's just, there's nothing, like, even to function halfway normally, I medicate to the point where I'm just like, I'm not myself. So
yeah, I think I would agree with you, because I get pretty debilitating headaches, but I don't get them that often. And so, like for example, one time we were at Disney World, and I got one so bad, like my wife had to like push me out of the park in a wheelchair, and I think I was also really dehydrated. But like I had to like miss a big chunk of the trip. But when you're so congested, hey Roy, when you're so congested, like you can't taste anything, it's pretty miserable. And that happens to me at least more often than I get super bad headaches. So I think I might pick never being congested again, I think.
The question that was posed, would you rather never be congested again or never have a headache again, Roy?
It's congested for me because I never get headaches. I've probably had a dozen, maybe 2 dozen headaches in my life. Now I've had them, and when they happen, they are horrendous. So don't get me wrong. If that ever cropped into my life, I would probably pick that. But for me, I am every morning. It's like I need one of those like nose filter things. I am just blowing rockets into that sink every single morning. And, they tell you not to do, the water up your nose thing, but I do it. I take like a scoop full of water. I cover my face with it to where it kind of like moistens my nostrils on the inside, and I get chunks out of there, man. So I would definitely get rid of that.
I've never heard of that.
I've never heard of that.
No?
It sounds
never tried it. Well,
unpleasant.
because like I guess in theory, right, you may like wind up snorting tap water, which doesn't have the best stuff in it sometimes. But I mean, for me, I kind of make a pool in my hand. I kind of get dip my nose in it just in like that, and then. But when you got a schnoz like this, guys, I mean, I don't know if you can appreciate what I'm dealing with here, but when you got a bad boy like this, man, it catches everything.
Yeah.
It's like a lacrosse goalie net.
Oh man. Yeah, congestion.
Sorry for the delay, by the way. I went downstairs to find out that my wife had unplugged our router, just thinking that nothing could possibly affect anything of what my husband's doing if I do this, and rearrange the living room for the 8th time in the last like 6 months.
I do that a lot. I like to move stuff around.
I like the movement, right? We just did it with our bedroom. I think a new feng shui, if you will. My wife's Vietnamese, so she would call it that. I would not, right? I don't believe in that pseudoscience crap. But from the standpoint of just like a refreshing viewpoint, right? A space can feel different with different stuff in it, positioned differently, and it can feel kind of new in that way. And so we're trying to enlighten our house a little bit in that way.
Well, glad you're back. It was funny, we were talking and it had you like this, like your eyes closed. Like, oh no!
See, I saw you guys freeze, and I was like, I said, Adam, Nick froze again, and then I was like, Adam, you froze, and your son's frozen. I think it's me.
Well, glad you're back. Glad you got that fixed. So let's get into a debate, a topic I put up on the Twitter, and it's a debate I've seen. And one of the loudest voices is one of the first guests I've ever had on the show, Jesse Holly. But milk before.
He's a psychopath. He's a psychopath when it comes to this particular topic.
He does not hold back. Milk before or after the cereal in the bowl. And
his logic is sound. His reasoning is sound because what he does is pour a little bit of cereal or a little bit of milk into it, and then he like portions the cereal, right? So every ratio of like cereal to milk is always going to be a little bit like crunchy. And I mean, I guess I'm just okay with ultimately knowing that in the end, some of it's going to sog up.
Right.
I've always gone with the pour over the top after.
So he does a little bit at a time?
He does, yeah. He like the way at least he's described it to me. It's not that he pours a full bowl of milk and then pours all the cereal that he's going to eat. It's that he pours a small amount of cereal, like to create that ratio to kind of just like put it, to almost dunk it in the milk. Which, from that standpoint, very strong. I just don't want to, if you're putting the whole thing in, it's not going to go right if you put the milk in first, number one, because it's going to start floating and it's going to overflow faster than maybe it should if you were to, like, push it down, right?
So is it one of these things that, like, if you master it, it's actually better, but because it's, like, maybe a difficult task, we don't even approach it?
Well, that, and also I think it depends on the cereal. Like, if you had, I would say I would probably employ his technique for something like Rice Krispie, like something that small, right? Little Rice Krispies. I would probably employ his tactic because, yeah, it sogs up really fast. But for something like what I love, which is Fruit Loops, I love Cinnamon Toast Crunch. And those two in particular, like, get the milk on it, dip it on there, drench it.
I use a quarter a gallon of milk every time I eat cereal. So.
Yeah, my wife and I actually, this is a point of contention in our house because not that she's not a crazy person, she doesn't put the milk in first. However, she uses as little amount of milk as possible for cereal. So, like, if she's like, "Hey, I'm eating some cereal for breakfast. You want some?" "Yeah, sure. I'll take some." And she does it for me. I get to the end and I'm like trying to tilt the bowl so I have some milk with my cereal. Like, I want plenty of milk that I don't have to worry about it. Like, and I can get my cereal because I don't like it actually. I like my cereal all wet. I don't want it soggy, but I like to get the spoon and kind of push it all down, get it all wet, and then eat it pretty quick.
Yes, agreed. I'll eat it quickly.
I don't want like dry. Yeah, I don't want dry cereal like with the milk. I want it all wet. It's all incorporated in there.
Not a dry guy. Absolutely not.
What's the point of the milk anyway? So, yeah, I think.
So no one agrees with Jesse. No one agreed with Jesse.
We had some. I'll pull up the poll real quick because it wasn't unanimous, but definitely was tilted in the favor of milk second. I've done a lot of tweeting lately. Probably should stop that.
I also just think I pour the milk kind of to where it all floats. Because once you hit that equilibrium where it all floats, I mean, God, 93%.
Yeah, 93%.
That's a smoke show. That's pretty much majority, right? And then a space of 7% of psychopaths.
Yeah,
that's going to be in any society. Probably numbers probably even higher for most psychopaths. Some psychopaths probably even put milk on first.
Yeah, that was probably just Jesse's vote, the one. Mm-hmm. So, milk second, cereal first. But let's get into it. We just broke some news. Don't want to run too much longer, but Dallas just signed Gallup, blanking. What did you say? 5 years, $60 million?
Michael Gallup, 5 years, $62.5 million. I haven't seen the specifics of the deal yet because Adam Schefter tweeted it out there. But, yeah, I'm sure someone will get down to that. I bet it's like something like $25 million guaranteed, So he gets basically the first 2 years guaranteed. And just like Amari, which people don't realize when that deal was signed, it basically was a 2-year, $40 million deal, and we'd revisit it after a year or two. That was always what the plan was going to be. And as much as Cowboys fans hate it, it ain't that bad, honestly, especially when you now turn around and get Michael Gallup at $12.5 million a year as opposed to 20, and you got him a little bit at a discount because he's coming off that ACL that he just tore this past season. But he's a guy who has served as a number 2 right before CD got here, so he knows what to do in that role. And he's a guy who's put up 1,000-yard seasons when healthy. So I actually think the Cowboys will be better than they were this past season at the wide receiver position because they didn't have either 2 1,000-yard receivers or 2 receivers who combined for 2,000 yards total last season. And Amari Cooper was a part of that. Yeah. So give me a healthy Michael Gallup at $12.5 million, and the Cowboys are actually better off. People don't want to take that soup right now because they can't see how they're better off, right? And in theory, they're not, but they're better off in that they just saved themselves $8 million at that position and can maybe add another linebacker, another offensive lineman, another defensive tackle, another defensive edge rusher that could make a big difference for this team and more of a difference for this team than Amari Cooper was going to make. In this system that, quite honestly, it's not about individual players. It's about the system. And if you think you have the quarterback that can run that system, then I don't care about the individual pieces around him. Like Peyton Manning made, God, who's my favorite? Little white guy in Indianapolis. One of my favorite guys who I reference is like a guy who, Austin Collie.
Oh, Austin Collie. There we go.
Austin Collie. Now, Dallas Clark's another one, right? Peyton Manning made these names household names to football fans because he was Peyton Manning. Now, is that Peyton Manning? I'm not saying that. But if he is a good enough quarterback, he'll make a Laurent Robinson, right? He'll make a Michael Gallup and a CeeDee Lamb serviceable names, and he'll make a Cedric Wilson and Noah Brown, recognizable.
Yeah.
Yeah. $27 million guaranteed from Gelkis, Michael Gelkis.
Okay. From Gelkin, Michael Gelkin, Dallas Morning News. Man, he came up, bro. He came here, I think, from out of town, and I don't know him personally. I'd love to meet him.
I think he was on the Raiders beat before.
Was he really? Man, he came into football and he has been right at the cutting edge. By the way, I know it's not germane to the show, but I just have to say it somewhere. Marilyn Love, the secretary for Jerry Jones, for 50, 60 years, she was one of the nicest women I'd ever spoken with. Nicest secretary, and I called her all the time when we would talk to Jerry Jones. My heart goes out to her and her family. She passed away this week, and that woman was a sweetheart. She was unbelievable.
Condolences to the family. And now, how do I follow that up? Come on.
Sorry. Yeah, no, I mean, I didn't mean to totally
and Joe Buck are going to ESPN.
Yeah, for $130 million between the two of them. $130 million to call less than 100 games, even if I include preseason games. That's absurd.
The ESPN Monday Night Football broadcast has been terrible for a long time. Steve Levy, good Lord, he's a fine broadcaster, but in a play-by-play booth, I mean, my gosh, was it bad. And then I forget Joe Tessitore before him. He's great in boxing, but football was not for him.
No, Sean McDonough.
He's great in college football, college basketball. I really like Buck and Aikman. I like their Fox broadcast quite a bit. And so I think that's a huge upgrade for ESPN.
I agree. It is a big upgrade for ESPN. You're right about that. Buck and Aikman have a history, have a rapport that they can make jokes and make something fun. But shit, if the Manning cast is still going, guess who I'm going to be watching? Eli and Peyton.
Yeah. I don't get ESPN. I've missed out the whole Manning cast of love.
You have missed out. That's the greatest. That's the greatest play-by-play thing going. That's the greatest game side commentary going in sports right now, is the Manning cast.
Yeah, and honestly, I'd be fine without the interviews. Like, if it was just them talking coverages and football, like, I could listen to that all day. The interviews can be great and can be fun, but just hearing like Peyton Manning break down like what's supposed to happen, it's like, why people love Tony Romo, but like on steroids. Like, you get all of the ins and outs of it. It's really, really good.
So different subject, but on subject. Any of y'all, were y'all in? It seems like it was forever ago. The Dennis Miller Monday Night Football season.
I remember it. Yeah, the experiment.
Yeah, I remember it because I had been in high school, and I loved Dennis Miller. I was in that phase where, like, a smart ass adult. Yeah, ESPN. I feel like it's been kind of a train wreck since that. Like, they've never really been able to get a nice.
Now hold on.
Was Madden? Was after
Mike Tirico, and John Gruden before his disgraceful exit from the NFL here recently. Mike Tirico and John Gruden, I thought, held it down. They were really good.
Yeah, but that was fairly short-lived, was it not?
No, they made a run, man. They made a good run. He was there from 2006 to 2015. So he was there for 10 years, and Gruden was there for 8 of those years. I guess Gruden did come on with McDonough there at the back end, but Gruden was there from 2009 to 2017, and Tirico was there from 06 to 2015. So, like, Tirico and Gruden, to me, they were at least respectable. Maybe everybody didn't love them, and people kind of soured on Gruden at the end because they got tired of his Grudenisms,
Yeah.
But that was at least respectability. It has not been respectable since then. When they tried the Booger crew, the 3-man crew was
his little cart.
That was probably the well is like bad as it got between Tessitore, Booger, and Witten there in 2018.
That was the funniest though. It was just watching a train wreck every Monday.
Funny in a bad way, man. I mean, funny in a way that's like it makes a meme on social media and you get ridiculed for days on end. Funny. Not good. Not what you want your broadcast to be if you're trying to be taken seriously.
Right.
Yes. So last topic, we got a couple of things, but I want to get in. We're pushing up against it. Lockout's over. Nick, what are you thinking about the Rangers, the moves they made? They're pushing. I chatted a little with Levi Weaver today, and he thinks they're going to make a ton of moves by next Friday. What are your thoughts on it?
And that would line up perfectly. Hopefully, have a Rangers guest on next week to talk all things Rangers. I'll say this: it'll at least pique my interest. Baseball is by far the easiest sport to not give a crap about after a month if your team is bad. Maybe it's fun to go to a game, you get the atmosphere, get a hot dog, whatever. But when your team is bad, it's miserable. And so at least the Rangers, shelled out a lot of money in that early part of the off season, and I'm at least interested. We'll see. I think it will take a lot for me to get really invested in baseball again. What I did for a job for quite a while burnt me out on Rangers baseball quite a bit. But I'm at least interested. And I think depending on what they do the rest of the spring training, whatever we're in, could pull me in even more. So I will watch, opening day, and I will check it out if I'm just sitting at the house, which is more than I would have done the last, 2-3 seasons.
Yeah, there's still the Bally Southwest issue, but
oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Huge issue.
Huh?
It's a huge issue.
Yes,
I'm so pissed about Bally's.
And Roy, you're a big baseball guy, so what's your thoughts? At least you're wearing a Ranger shirt today. Did we lose Roy again?
Might have.
Did his wife rearrange?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, first and foremost, I was shocked. Now I'm thinking my wife is like screwing my internet again. So if I freeze again, please let me know. I'm gonna have to scream at her to stop. But I mean, obviously, I'm very happy. It's funny that the owners claimed that 2 weeks were going to be wiped away, and then magically that just like reappeared after they were able to get a deal done. I was in the pessimistic crowd. I thought they had no chance of getting this deal done. I was like, they're going to go into June or July fighting this out, and both sides are going to be dug in, and they have reason to be, right? But, you know, a lot of it for the players, like the stuff that they're fighting for, the guys that are voting on it, they're already in the major leagues. Like, do they want to give up more when they're at the major league level for the guys who are coming through like the minors? And a lot of it is stuff just like getting paid a basic living wage. But, you know, how much did they want to like sacrifice in their own times to be able to like make it better for the next generation? And that's why the players will always be in an uphill battle against the owners. But I was honestly shocked. Like, I'm very happy. I'm very excited about baseball because I play, you know, a season-long fantasy baseball league, and that keeps me like motivated and invested in it. And certainly from the Rangers standpoint, right? They added pop, they added defense, they added speed. Marcus Semien, Corey Seager, they added some pitching, and John Gray, like once a very highly touted prospect, now kind of a guy who hasn't quite lived up to the hype, quite honestly, but they only signed him for $15 million, so it's not like frontline starter money. And then they also added like a solid bat in Cole Calhoun, who, you know, good outfielder, serviceable outfielder, better than like a Nomar Mazara, which is what we were kind of slated to believe in for so many years here around North Texas. And the truth is, you know, the best part for the Rangers, it is coming. And that's the ace that they drafted, you know, Al Leiter's son, who looks like whenever he makes it to the major leagues, he's going to be electrifying.
Yes, I'm excited about that. Excited about the young guys. I 3 days ago, I'd have told myself I'm out on baseball. I don't even care. They came back. I'm back in. They hooked me.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but it is a long season still. Like, they still have issues in terms of getting people's attention. You know, I paid for MLB TV for the longest time, but it's just something that I split with a couple of friends on because, again, we're all playing fantasy baseball, so everybody kind of wants to be able to watch their players, if you will. But, I mean, baseball's got stuff that they still need to figure out in terms of grasping people, because I think I'm in the way minority that, like, really enjoys the head games that exist between a pitcher who's throwing a ball when he's in a 2-1 count versus when he's in a 1-1 count, right? Or when he's in a 1-2 count versus a 3-1 count. Like, I'm into that stuff, and I don't think most people are.
Well, let's dig into. Let's put a pin in that. We'll dig into that next week because we might have a guest that's going to really help us explore some more Rangers topics. But that's all I have for today. The run sheet is empty. Nick, do you have anything?
No, there's no more breaking news.
Are you hating on anything, Nick? What are you hating on?
Not really hating on anything. That was where I got the congestion versus headache, because I've been really congested this past week, and it's been terrible.
Okay.
But I also, like, I don't get headaches often, but when I do, that they're like really bad. And so I brought up that question: which would you give up? Because I hate both of them.
Adam, what did you say?
Oh, I get migraines all the time. I have all the migraine meds.
I would nuke that immediately for sure, though. If I got them on any similar of a scale, I would nuke that hardcore.
Yeah, it's rough, but yeah, I medicate and then sleep all day when I get them. That's pretty much.
Well, I'll report back on how Elsa
Yeah.
shows up at the party and entertains this upcoming weekend. And hey, maybe I have a staycation story in there for you too. I don't know.
There you go.
My life isn't that interesting, but I'll try to make it sound like it is.
Well, we'll look forward to that next time, gentlemen. As always, it's a pleasure, and to our listeners, the next time till the next time we see you, stay above average.